Hello Providence beginning band students. This week's video is a little bit different than ones we've done in the past. At the end of each year, I like to sit down with my beginning band students and answer any questions. So I thought I'd ask 4 of my other music teaching friends the question they get the most and add my own. So instead of playing in this week's video, I'm going to be answering the top 5 most asked questions beginning band students. Question number 1. How did I start playing trombone, and can I play any other instruments? So I started playing trombone when I was in 5th grade, and this was a long time ago. And I actually missed the first day of band class. And nobody else signed up for trombone. And my teacher was a trombone player, and she said, "You look like a trombone player." And because of that, I started playing trombone. And then the rest is history. I've since received 2 different college degrees in trombone performance. And I love it, and I play it every single day. I can also play a little bit of trumpet and piano. Those are the 3 instruments I can play. Question number 2. How do I play high? This might just be a brass player question. It's one that I get a lot all the time, especially for my trumpet students. So when we're learning to extend our range higher, we have to remember that when we were babies, we learned to crawl before we could walk. And then we learned to walk before we could run. So we kind of have to be patient with ourselves. You can't just start playing higher one day. It doesn't work that way. So when I think of playing higher, I think of air speed. A lot of times we talk about more air or less air, but we need to be talking about air speed here. Faster air, you get faster notes. Slower air, lower notes. So the way that I want you to try this is to buzz first. Remember all the tips. We hold our mouthpiece at the end, pinch it in our non-dominant hand. That means if you're right-handed, you hold your mouthpiece in your left hand and vice versa. You want to have relaxed breath and a relaxed body, nothing crazy up here with your shoulders or anything. So try out air speed with buzzing first. Like that. So just like our sirens exercise. Then after you get comfortable with buzzing, try doing some lip slurs. A couple weeks ago, I posted a video about warming up that gave examples of lip slurs. Start slow and just try to go from your middle C or in trombone case, B flat F. You want to go to C, G, nice and easy, nice and slow, and eventually you'll be able to play up and down in all the registers. Another thing that people talk about when they say play high is in order to play high, play low. So when you play lower notes, you learn how to control your air in a way that is relaxed, and that actually translates to playing high. So don't neglect the low notes too. I would recommend in the back of your book, you have a fingering chart, starting at the very lowest note and going to the very highest note. And if you can do that, play maybe half notes, starting low and going as high as you can. The next question that gets asked a lot is, how often should I be cleaning my instrument? So this is kind of a multi-part question. I find that a lot of students aren't cleaning or maintaining their instrument often enough or well enough when they do. So number 1 for me is clean your mouthpiece. It's the first thing that touches your face. It's what comes in contact with your spit and your air first. And more often than not, every student whose instrument I touch, their mouthpiece is filthy. So take it out every week. Take your mouthpiece brush and some warm water and some dish soap and just clean it out. Make sure there's no crusties or leftover peanut butter and jelly sandwiches or anything in there. And then dry it off with either a paper towel or a cloth towel. Don't use toilet paper because the toilet paper can come off pretty easily when it's wet. So stick with paper towel or cloth towel. You should also lubricate your instrument more often than you probably do. I give a lot of lessons, and a lot of times I can hear the slide or I can see that you're struggling with stuck valves. So get ahead of that. Oil it before they get stuck. Oil it before it starts making noise. So I try to oil as much as the weather dictates, right? So if it's dry outside like it is today, then I might oil my instrument before I put it away. If it's wet and it seems like it's working okay, then that's not a big deal. Maybe every other day, once or twice a week. It's totally dependent on weather. But the important thing is you want to put your instrument away wet. Try to avoid using oils and stuff at the beginning of your practice session, because when we empty our water keys, all the oils and stuff, they tend to come out. So practice. Put a little oil on your valves or on your slide and then put it away. And the next time you practice, empty the spit valve and you should be ready to go. So we want to use a snake or the spitballs once every 3 months. You don't want to necessarily give your instrument a bath. There are too many moving parts, and at this point, we're not playing enough to warrant a bath every 3 months. But what I would do is use a snake like the one you got in your maintenance kit, or the spitball products, those little sponges with the cleaning solvent that you spit through your instrument. I would use those every 3 months. And then, just like you go to the doctor every year, you should take your instrument into the doctor's office every year. Meaning, you should take it in for maintenance or for cleaning to the music store at least once a year. You go to the doctor once a year, whether you're sick or not. And then occasionally, if you are ill, you go back to the doctor. That's like if you were to dent your slide or drop your instrument and the valves don't work anymore. You take it in, they fix it or they replace it, and then you'll have a clean instrument as well. Question number 4, and this is kind of a topical one. How do you stay motivated to practice during the summer? This is tough because when I was in school, when I was your age in school, I didn't necessarily practice during summer. And when I got back to school, it showed. It was pretty obvious those who had played their instrument and those who hadn't. There was one point in between 6th and 7th grade that I did not play at all one summer. And when I got to secondary, I put my trombone together backwards. So it was pretty obvious that I hadn't practiced. In order to stay motivated, you want to start by setting goals for yourself. Meaning, hey, maybe I want to play every song in the Red Book. Easy peasy, no problem. Or, hey, I know that I'm going to be in band next year, so I'm going to buy the Blue Standard of Excellence Book 2 and start working on those scales. Those are pretty easy goals to set for yourself. Another way to stay motivated is to take lessons. You'll be working with the teacher one-on-one, and they'll be assigning you new music or giving you new exercises to do, and maybe even have a recital for you to play in. So these are things that keep you practicing. Another way to do it is to create home performances. An easy way to do this is to prepare a piece of music, whether it's a song from your book or something you find in another book or whatever it is, and play it as a concert for your family at home. I call these living room concerts, and they're pretty fun. Gather your whole family around, act as if it's like this big deal, get dressed up if you want to, and play your piece and give a big bow, and you'll receive a nice round of applause as well. Another way that I stay motivated is I watch a lot of videos of people playing different music, of people playing different instruments, things like that, people making music. YouTube is a very valuable resource. So with your parents' permission, look up songs or people that are inspirational and motivational to you and watch those videos. They might be able to give you some tips, and if nothing else, hopefully you listen to some good music. The last question is, why is music important? So I understand that at the end of the school year, the last thing you're gonna want to do is play your instrument necessarily. So we have to remind ourselves why music is important in the first place. Music helps your brain and your heart. So when you learn music, you're using both sides of your brain. You're doing language arts and math at the same time. That's what happens to your brain when you play music. And it helps your heart because it allows you to put emotion into something that isn't words, that isn't writing. It's something completely different. Music is also important for socialization. What I mean when I say that is music is meant to be made with other people. So when you give concerts, or when you play with your friend or your sibling or your parents, that is socialization. That's the kind of socialization that we get in school. It's the kind that we get when we play sports. It's the kind when we have at church. But it's all with our instrument. Music is also important because it is another way we give glory to God. God created music, so let's continue to play to give God the glory that He deserves.